This video is part of the My Vintage Heart Valentine open collaboration, and I will tell you a little bit more about it after the first project. Fabric hearts. So I got a couple of rolls of this fabric from the Dollar Tree. I got a larger amount of fabric from Walmart. It was only a couple dollars. I have this little white bucket from the wedding section at the Dollar Tree. And some skewers also purchased from the Dollar Tree. So we're making fabric heart picks, you know, like we use floral picks or we make Christmas tree picks. I'm going to make heart picks. Now you could put these into a floral arrangement or even in a basket without the skewer. I'm actually going to make 4 fabric hearts and put them all in the bucket. So I'm going to show you the first one. I fold it in 4 and cut a half heart. So I end up with 2 whole hearts. I use my heat press to iron them down, get them nice and flat so it's easy to stitch. And I'm going to hand sew all 4. I use different colors of stitch. I kind of wanted the stitching to be visible. I wasn't trying to hide it. So like I used black on this one, I used gray on another one, I used pink on one of them. But I just go all the way around. And the next hearts, I do make a deeper cut into the middle there to make the heart more defined after you stuff it. Because I noticed after I stuffed this one that the heart shape wasn't like very prominent. But I still like how it turned out. So I'm going to go ahead and stuff it here. I just want to push it into the top. And we don't want to overstuff it because we do want to see the shape. Now I grab a skewer and poke it right up in the middle there, and I'm going to put hot glue on the skewer and then press the fabric in against it. And I'll just press that for a while until the glue cools off, and then I take the thread and do a couple stitches around the skewer so the needle is going through the glue. And you can also use the hot glue to, like if you have gaps in your sewing, you could put a little dab of hot glue as well. Then I left enough of an edge so I could come in and use my fingernails to fray the edges. Then I'll do the exact same thing for the next 3. And I also go back and put a little bit of hot glue where the fabric is gaping. And then I also go back and trim some of the edges just to give the heart a nice defined shape. Now I'm going to arrange them here. I want one short in the front and then the 2 straight ones on either side, and the buffalo check one in the back, and that'll be the tallest one. So I cut all the stems there, the picks, at the same time, so I know they're even. Then I go ahead and shove that little bit of floral foam in there, and then just put the hearts in the way I planned. And even though that bucket is small, it holds them really well. I'll give you a better look at this during the final reveal. Jumping in with a little bit more information about this open collaboration, it's called My Vintage Heart Valentine, and as soon as I saw vintage, I knew I wanted to be a part of it. It's hosted by Anna from the Grace Life DIY Home Decor and Antoinette from Antoinette Decorating. Their channel links, as well as a link to the playlist, will be in my description box below, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of the video. Roses are red. So I have these beautiful faux red roses that came from Lowe's last year, and the bouquet is actually embellished with some dried baby's breath. And then they just wrap some tape around the bottom of the baby's breath and tape it onto a really thick dowel. And then the roses are just on like a thinner piece of dowel or a skewer. The stand comes from Dollar Tree. There's a wood round there that I'm not sure where it came from. I got the letters in Canada at the dollar store. And I have the felt heart stickers that I think came from Dollar Tree last year. So to start things off here, I'm going to go ahead and paint the letters. It's going to spell I heart you. So the felt heart, and then I and you. And that's just one coat of crimson chalk paint. And a small paintbrush. And these letters are a little bit smaller than the ones at Dollar Tree, and thank goodness, because I just didn't have anything that the thicker ones or the wider ones would look good on. So I was thankful that I had these letters from the dollar store in Canada. The wire frame is kind of bent in spots, so I was just pressing down on it to sort of make it better there, make it flatter. And I'm just using a pair of pliers to remove the rose from the dowel. And I left part of the dowel on the back of the rose because I'm going to wrap the wreath frame with this decorative burlap ribbon. And I thought I needed a little bit of dowel on the back to poke through the ribbon and help it stay on. However, it was actually giving me a bit of a hard time. So it was hot gluing all around the dowel and then trying to poke it through the ribbon at the same time. And I was having a hard time getting it through on the first try. So I'll show you what I do in just a second. I pulled off a little bit of the dried baby's breath and trimmed it and hot glued it in between each rose. Let's see how I'm just really pushing at that rose to get the dowel back. And then I'm like, you know what? I don't think I need this dowel on the back. I'm just going to glue them on regular. And it was actually quite easy to remove the dowel from the rose. I just grabbed it with a pair of pliers and twisted it. And I'll show you that in just a second. There we go. Just twisted it and it came right off. And then I just glued the back in the center and pressed it down. So there's what we're left with. Love how it turned out. Love how natural looking it looks. Some are bigger than others. Some of the petals are different. Some of the colors are darker in places. It's just so pretty. I'm going through all my little felt hearts here, looking for one that I think looks best with the color of the letters and the color of the hearts. And this is the one I decided on. But that's really a personal preference. I hope Dollar Tree has those felt hearts this year. I got the ones I have last year. And I kind of did it off to one side, kind of slanted it a little bit. And the felt hearts are the thing that it reminds me of the 70s, which is long enough ago to be considered vintage, but also the red roses are just so classic and so traditional, so we got the vintage there as well. I realized I need a little bit more on this stand to keep this little wreath up, so I had a scrap piece of a paint stir stick and just kind of jammed it in the ribbon there on the back, but I'll also come back and tie some twine through the wire on the wreath form and around the paint stir stick, and I'm going to give you a better look at this during the final reveal. Dreamy plaque. So I have a few supplies here that I'm going to make an easy dreamy plaque with a nice vintage look. I have the chocolate stencil, the glass candle holder from Dollar Tree, the lace came from Temu. I have my E6000 glue. I have this wood plaque from Dollar Tree, and I love that vintage shape of it. And then I have a tub of chocolate black chalk paste. I only buy the black and white, and then I'm part of the chocolate club, so they give me the packets, the single-use packets, but I end up using them 2 or 3 times. And a lot of my stencils come from eBay. I buy like bundles or lots of stencils. So you can use chocolate and not break the bank. So chocolate comes out nicely if you pre-wax your surface. So I just used some white wax, and I didn't bother painting the wood first, but if you wanted, you could paint it white and then do the white wax. And that's distilled water because my chalk paste was a little too thick, so I added a little too much water, and it took me a long time to stir it up, and I still didn't get the best consistency, and it does bleed a little bit for me. Still looks good though. So I just spread the paste on first, and then I go back with a little squeegee and scrape off the excess. And if this was a good consistency paste, it probably would have looked perfect, but it did bleed a little bit at the top there, so I came in with a paintbrush to thicken up the letters and try and make it look more intentional. And there were little spots of black here and there, and I rubbed some sandpaper over them to reduce the darkness of them. Now I have this old sponge dabber that I actually cut it, some paint dried, and I cut that part off so it's like half a dauber. And I'm going to do one coat on the glass candle holder, and then come back and do a few spots here and there. It's going to be mostly covered by the fabric, so I didn't feel like I needed to do too much to it. Now this is fun. You take your fabric and you choose the way you want the design, and then you just cut in a little bit and rip. So like for my stripe fabric, I made sure one was vertical, one was horizontal. And no rhyme or reason really. I just did a bunch of them. Now I'm going to show you how it looks if you tie the fabric around the top of the candle holder. But I actually changed it up a little bit, and I'll show you that in just a second. I have the lace from Temu, and it wasn't working with the fabric strips because of the color. So I decided to put it on the top of the plaque instead. And I just did the awareness shape and wrapped the middle with the twine. I hot glued the middle to the top of the plaque, and then I put a little dab of hot glue on the tails and sort of like make like a little wave and spread the tails apart so they weren't covering up the words. Now I'm using my E6000 glue and hot glue on this Jenga block. I'm putting it at the back, and then I'm putting the same duo, the E6000, and then a little bit of hot glue in the middle there. Now I end up putting another Jenga block in the front, but I did that after I turned the camera off, so you will see how different it doesn't look that different, but you'll see how different it looks in the final reveal. This is how it looks with the strips tied on the candle holder and I'll show you what it looks like with the jungle block in front during the final reveal.